Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tech Talks with NASSCOM Insights. We've gathered today to discuss an interesting technology which is evolving and maturing slowly in India on low code, no code technologies. We have the provider ecosystem today on the call with us, and we have NASSCOM and Unearth Insight representing the industry insights on the ecosystem. So we have Sachin Vijan from Nagaro, Gautam Nimgada from Quixi, Yogesh Sharma from Decimal Technologies, who all three represent the low-code, no-code provider ecosystem which is growing in India. Sure. We have Neha Jain from NASSCOM, who represent the IT services and largely the overall technology industry research. Sure. So first few minutes, I think for the panelists, we'll cover on the key insights from the report that we released. I think all of you participated in the research and the surveys on low code, no code industry. So the last month report that we released, here are the key insights from the report, right? So if we look at the global industry and the scale of growth in low code, no code industry, I think it grew about 28% to reach about $13.8 billion. I think we saw RPA and robotic process automation grow at a much larger pace thanks to the digital intervention and automation interventions of large and mid-sized organizations across BFSI, healthcare, and tech sectors. Similarly, if we actually look at locally in India, we saw the industry touching close to about $400 million in revenue. Largely, we have seen the ecosystem has generated about 70% of its revenue from the global markets. And from the earlier days of about 50, 40 players in the market, we have close to about 150 low code, no code players, both IT services players having their own products to the incumbent players and some of you guys who represent today on the call. And you have experienced retail, BFSI, SaaS product companies, and the growing SaaS ecosystem adopting low code, no code products and solutions, largely to accelerate their various different support functions and core businesses. And this has largely happened because of three or four factors which have driven, right? One is the talent challenges, which we have all gone through in the current times, especially in the last 2, 3 years. Second is the advantage that low-code, no-code technology provides in terms of time to market and time to release new products and new solutions and new apps. And third is the large growing IT services ecosystem who have actually enabled you to take some of you and some of the other service providers to take some of these solutions to the global market, right? Now, with that introduction, I'll hand it over to Neha to actually talk to each of you and get your perspective on what has been your experience on this and how do you see the way forward for India and outlook for India for the next couple of years. Over to you, Neha.
Sure. Thanks, Gaurav, for that quick overview. And before we move forward with today's discussion, for people who are here listening to this webinar, I would like to say that, for more details, they can go back to NASSCOM Insights and look at our report. And taking that whole initiative forward, today we have the provider ecosystem, and we'll talk about them, what they think about the global and the India market as far as low code, no code is concerned, and how do we see the outlook going forward. So we'll hear it from them. Before I move forward, I'll just do a quick introduction of panelists we have today. So I'll start with Sachin Vijan. Sachin is Director Technology with Nagaro. He's a technology veteran with over 20 years of experience with successful enterprise application designed and delivered across the globe. He has an unmatched track record of delivering business value by implementing enterprise solutions that use emerging technologies like low-code platforms, IoT, and advanced analytics to accelerate digital transformation. Welcome, Sachin, to the session today.
Thank you, Neha.
Our second panelist for today we have is Yogesh Sharma. Yogesh is president for Vahana, which is Decimal's low-code, no-code platform, which focuses on financial institutions. He is responsible for product development, strategy, marketing, and enabling developer ecosystem for Vahana. He comes with over 20 years of experience in strategy, consulting, product development, and analytics. Welcome to the session, Yogesh.
Thank you, Neha.
Third panelist for today is Gautam Nimgada. He's from Quixi. With over 13 years of experience in the technology sector, Gautam is the founder and CEO of Quixi. It's a no-code digital transformation app. In his current role as a dynamic entrepreneur, Gautam is responsible for customer engagement, strategizing solutions, and strong business. With his strong business acumen, he's focused on building a world-class team at Quixi. His expertise lies in product ideation, product building, and process optimizations, to name a few. Warm welcome to you, Gautam.
Thank you, Neha. Pleasure to be here.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining in today. And just to kickstart the discussion, maybe I'll start with you, Sachin. And I would like to know, since Nagarro deals with a lot of global clientele, and we have seen, and I think Gaurav also highlighted that we see a larger uptick in the global market as far as low code, no code is concerned. We would like to hear your viewpoint on that. Sachin, you're on mute.
All right, Sagar. All right. So yes, I think that there has been a uptake, and based on the trends, it's accelerating at a very fast and a rapid pace. It is across industries and across geographies. We have seen a huge demand as far as low-code platforms are concerned. In fact, some of the leading IT research organizations have had projected, let's say, 28% CAGR last year. That has been bumped up to 29% plus annual growth, and then the market share is about to supposed to grow to 70%, which was projected to be 65% earlier. So and that's the forecast year of 5 years. That's how they're projecting. So it's the numbers are going on the higher side as far as the adoption is concerned. Overall, globally, yes, there are three categories, as I keep saying. The providers, which are the vendors or providers of the local platform. There must be almost 250 odd providers right now. Then there are adopters, the organizations who are taking that up. And then there are system integrators or partners like us who help accelerate that digitalization journey for the adopters there. Now, in a global market, yes, there are a mixed bag of enterprises. However, certain countries who had early adopters, primarily, I would say the trend had started picking up in the last 2 years because of the triggering from the COVID situation and other things. But yet again, the local platforms have been there for almost 5+ years. And predominantly, the term itself was there, but prior to that also local platform was there. So the digital enterprises or the digital first organizations who had adopted, they are on a maturity stage. They are, they started with experimenting certain applications like replacement of small enterprise apps or, modernization or things like that. But we have seen trends now that where they are going and building up their core business applications or end customer applications into a local platform. So these are on the scale of on the complexity scale, they are quite high and exposed to the customers or the end customers of the adopters as such. We've seen those trends coming up, and we have also seen certain strategies which the ones who had adopted earlier the local platforms that is coming up, which is like adoption of multiple local platforms into their ecosystem. So all local platforms do not fit all kind of needs. There are certain niche platforms which target to a particular kind of use cases, or let's say, or the user segment that you're targeting. So, and also the cost effectiveness that you get by adopting multiple platforms. So you might take the leaders for certain complex or other thing, but maybe a niche platform to have certain business as usual application that you want to do. So those are certain things that we have observed over a period of time, and also I would say that. So as Nagarro, we take a very unique approach as far as low-code platform adoption is concerned or development is concerned. So we're running multiple programs with multiple Fortune 100 organizations. Uh, what we try to do is, in a program, we try to extract the value out of every application that is done. So we try to put a KPI or the return of investment that is coming out of it. So what something like, for example, we'll measure it. Okay, if you would have done it in a traditional development mode versus low code mode, how much is your reduction in terms of time, in terms of cost that you saved? Then there are KPIs that we try to measure, like modernization, turnaround time, time to market, or process improvement, saving on those times. So end result or the functional KPIs as such in nature. That helps enterprise actually realize the benefit and brings in a lot of traction for businesses to project or to go ahead with their certain innovative applications now that they have surplus budget where they were able to do application at half the cost and half the time as well. So the surplus of time and the surplus of budget is what they can utilize or realize in building certain other innovative application as such. So those are the other trends, and so these are significant payoffs for the adopters that they get. And at the same time, on the developer community, we have seen that trend where so just for an example, when we started. By the way, I lead the global low-code practice at Nagaro. So like you said. Around 2.5 years, we started with a couple of folks, 3, 4 folks, developers, and out of those, couple of them did not work on the, because it's a low code. So it was supposed to be that way. But over a period of time, the developer community also has realized that it's not something that is, you know, so it requires development, or it requires your insight or your thoughts or your technical knack to actually put the solution in place. But the beauty of it is that you realize and you see that business value coming out at a very faster pace, and the benefits come at a rapid speed for the end user. And over a period of time, now in the market, it is such a demand that you don't find people. You're not able to find. It is one of the hot skills across the globe that people are able to find developers or implementers on that front. So yes, the world has changed, and it's the time where we are able to capitalize on the global market trends. But it is this these are I'm talking about the digital first or the leading organization. But then there's a mixed bag of organizations which have started to adopt, or we help them adopt the platform. It's a new ecosystem coming, new thing coming into their ecosystem. So there are, how do you build your lighthouse project, low risk, high visibility, or your launch team size? How do you, steer your backlog and build up those, as a program? So those things, and this is yet again happening in different parts, in different segments of the organization, but it is happening globally across. You call it maybe the U.S. market, European market, Middle East, Africa, everywhere the adoptions are coming. The trends are more, and it's the spectrum is. We started more realization in the industry space at the beginning, but yet again, slowly it has spread across all kind of domains and verticals, be it BFSI, be it other segments. It's healthcare or automotive. So everywhere, it's like more pervasive in that nature now.
Sure, Sachin. I think it's very very insightful to hear. That we have a increasing uptake of low code, no code across the globe. Plus, I hear you saying, that, just from the basic application, we have seen low code, no code taking towards the core applications also across domains and segments. So from there, maybe I would like to now, ask Gautam in terms of what he's seeing with respect to the India market. Do we see certain similar trends that are coming up in India, or we have a different kind of market, considering it is fairly nascent, compared to the global market? So your thoughts, Gautam?
Thanks, Neha, and thanks, Sachin, for that insightful knowledge on how low code is shaking up across the world. On the India front, over the last 2 years, especially during the COVID period, so when we started off in 2020, early 2020, the knowledge on the terms no code or low code was very little. We had to first educate a lot of people that this is what no code or low code means, and these are the advantages that you will get. And it was a long cycle, so we almost played the role of an evangelist first, educate them, and then bring them into the fold. It would take multiple sessions for different levels of structure within an organization to be able to understand the benefits of this new paradigm, at least in India. And but now, if you see, fast forward 2 years, and we see a lot of interest, a lot of people coming to our website. Every month we have hundreds of requests from India, just India, asking for a demo, free trial. I want to explore this, I want to build this, both for organizational purposes, or even we see a lot of freelancers saying that I want to build a product on top of your notebook platform and offer it to my customers, or system integrators. So there is a whole lot of renewed interest, or not renewed, new interest in low code, no code technologies in this 2 years. It's been phenomenal. When we used to speak with even the analysts of the world 2 years or 2.5 years back, and the term no code, no code, was not popular. It was back then, at best, they used to say low code. But now it is no longer just low code. Everybody is using no code, low code, or low code, no code, right? So they go together. So that clearly indicates the level of progression and understanding that a lot of people are having across the spectrum, whether it is in the end users, the system integrators, or the analysts of the world. Partly, one of the reasons of that also is, other than COVID forcing a lot of organizations to digitally transform themselves, is also the no-code, low-code platforms have also matured quite rapidly during this period, which is enticing more and more organizations to see these immediate benefits, whether it is in the manufacturing industry. You would consider it a traditional industry, but the margins are low generally in the manufacturing sector. And because of those low margins, there is a whole lot of focus on process optimization and digitization and automation. Therefore, they will be able to increase their margins and and get a competitive advantage in their industry. So with that, we've also seen that in retail, FMCG. We've also seen that a little bit of that in banking as well, where wherever there is, you know, let me rephrase that. So wherever there is a lot of competition, and the industries are forced to rethink how they are going to offer their services to their customers, that is where no code or low code technologies are being taken up, and they are becoming the front runners. We've seen this pattern in India, and I'd like to believe that it is a similar pattern across the globe as well.
Sure, Gautam. So I think very, very valuable insight there that, over the last 2 years, it's not only industry who has been looking for new solutions, but also on the low code, no code side, the platforms have also developed in a manner which have actually helped the industry grow. So taking that discussion forward, so I heard Gautam talking about, the manufacturing sector where the margins are low. and people are looking for ways to make things more efficient. Yogesh, I would like you to give us the viewpoint of how low code no code is being used in BFSI. We all know BFSI per se is one of the key users of technology, whether it was the legacy years or whether it's now. They are like the front runners. So I would like you to give us more light and insights on how it is being used, the low code no code is being used across the finance sector.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll start from where Gautam touched upon the transition that's happening over last 2 years. So some of the conversations we used to have around 2 or 4 years back were more around how can you solve our problem, or how can you solve the or provide us a solution. So it has slightly changed towards can we look at a platform which can be used for broader needs as well, and do we have a low code as part of the offerings you have, so that we are able to deliver faster. Now, when it comes to BFSI specifically, there are while digital is taking is digital is a need and is evolving because of COVID fairly fast. There are two or three other things that are happening in BFSI. One is there is a huge amount of customer centricity that's coming, and there is a second need of product personalization. So the second part is everybody wants to do a rapid GTM. So if credit cards was the default method of providing or payments in e-commerce platforms, BNPL arrived at the scene just a year back, and suddenly it has become the favorite method for payments in the online mode. Now, the second is the if we talk of banks, the branches were the primary medium of providing services to people earlier. Now, suddenly digital is the method where you want to have multiple 1, 2, 3, 4 or multiple digital touch points that need to we should be using to reach to the customers. So this means there is a constantly evolving digital strategy. There is a customer centricity. There is a huge personalization need. When this all comes together, that's where low code is very, very effective, because low code helps you transition an idea into a execution at a dramatic speed, which is almost 30%. And we are talking in terms of days and months. We are not talking in terms of multiple quarters when you need to take something to the customer. So there are banks which are private banks which are using no code. If I take examples, AU has been able to uh, build their video banking on a low code platform, Vahana, and they've been able to fastest. They've been the small finance bank which been able to give the fastest growth of customers because of that. Then, like Sachin said, there are companies which are using niche and more evolved platforms. So HDFC Life, I know, is using multiple platforms which are low code. It's not only private banks, it's also the government entities. NABARD is investing into low code. So the adoption is cutting across various sectors. It's not private, it's public, also it's small finance banks, it's insurance companies. So your financial sector is adopting this. Now, no code is becoming the default method of getting speed. And when we talk of the getting speed in what? Getting speed in terms of the use cases, banks are still not comfortable with building their core applications, which is, let's say, built on Finacle, etc., or the core systems, which is the, let's say, lending systems on this platform. But because they're focusing on customer centricity, all the customer engagement systems on the liability side and on the asset sides, which are, for example, customer onboarding, wait for saving accounts, FDs, etc., are built on this. LOS systems which feed into the lending systems are built on this. The workflows, credit decisioning is another area which is picking up. These are the use cases which are fairly complex in nature, not simplistic, and are going beyond simple applications, and where low code is being adopted fairly well. In terms of the outlook, I feel low code has started with the customer engagement and the workflow systems in banking, but it will very quickly move into 3 or 4 other use cases, which is, let's say, employee engagement, employee services, customer engagement, advisory, portfolio. This is the path that I feel low code is going to take. Now, when it comes to who else is supporting this, so this is banks, this is the adopter view. But if we talk about when it comes to the system integrators, they are trying with various multiple low-code platforms for providing services to the banks and the financial sector. So whichever SIs we partner with are experimenting with us as well as multiple other low-code platforms, and they are using the best to deliver these solutions in the fastest manner and the most efficient manner to banks. So I'm feeling that within the numbers that Sachin was talking about, 65 going to 72% outside India, I'm feeling the trend in banking in India is going to be fairly similar, where most of the apps will start becoming, uh, most of the apps and portals will start developing on the local platforms.
Sure. So I think it is overall technology leader. BFSI will continue to lead as far as low code, no code is also concerned. So I think moving forward, we heard, there's a good adoption happening across sectors and, we are seeing good uptake. So maybe I think it's a good idea to, now have your views on, how the outlook for low code, no code looks like, say maybe in next 3 to 5 years. Where do we see low code? Maybe which industries we see more adoption happening? Maybe some industries are doing it right now, could be the leaders now, but there could be some laggards who might become leaders of the future. So any thoughts? So maybe I'll start with Sachin, you, and you can just give us some viewpoint there.
So primarily, I wanted to, put it in three categories in terms of outlook. Of course, the outlook is pervasive. The adoption is going to be globally, whatever figures are projected, they stand true around that in terms of adoption. But there are three outlooks that I have. One is for the providers, and then the adopters and the implementers. For the providers, it is more like the maturity of the platforms, which is on the integration, user experience, or workflow side. There is going to be a much more maturity where much wider segment of applications will be taken up for implementation using the local platform. There is, of course, going to be a surge in demand for the providers, so they have to be prepared for handling that demand. One. Second is having that community of folks who can support or are the evangelists or the providers or the implementers for that platform. For the adopters, it is more of of course there are various stages of journey for different adopters, but yet again for the the ones who are starting to begin their journey, of course they have to build their strategy, what kind of application they want to do, what are the what are the adoption strategy, and then on the mature front, there are trends or there is outlook where multiple platform adoption would be there from the organizations, and for the ones who have a little bit of maturity in implementation, there would be more critical application taken up by them or a more bigger applications taken up by them for implementation. For implementers or the providers or the system integrator like us, it is of course we deal in like the putting that strategy in place or implementing or developing those solutions and running those programs or supporting putting a ecosystem of support around it or even giving trainings around it. So I think one of the things that really helps is multi-skilled team members. It's a mix of technology plus implementation or business acumen that is brought into the picture. Then you have now if you think about it, the earlier roles that were there were like the developers and citizen developers, right? Now, over a period of time, the roles have come up across, which are the implementers on the technology side is business technologists or citizen developers or software engineers, and then business analysts or administrators who are taking up this paradigm and they're realizing those use cases. So across skilled, implementation partners would be of value. And on that front, I think it's always going to be a mix of business technologists per a pro coder or a developer. That is how mature applications are built up, and then that's what I see as a trend going forward globally as well as low. In India, I think it's more like If played right, there are templates, there are reference models already established. If adopted rightly, it could go, we could take that advantage and leverage on that to build up our digital strategy as such.
Sure. So moving on, I'll now, put the same question to you, Gautam, where, I would, you might want to give us a little more deeper insights onto, what sectors do you think, which probably today are not using low code, no code, might take up more of it. So, or do you think there be a movement from, just basic automation of tasks to some core applications in India as well? So, I mean, any possibilities on those sides? And what's your sense on the outlook for India?
Thanks, Neha. So, on the level of adoption and how the outlook is looking, like I said, these 2 years is kind of pointing towards a trend where there will be a accelerated adoption of no-code, low-code platforms. And it started off with a few set of industries like you pointed out. But the rest of the industries, this is not like a technology that the other industries will wait and watch for too long. Because the advantages are so obvious and are not at a magnitude, not in terms of percentages, but it is in terms of 1x, 2x, 3x, 5x, right? So we are talking about multifold advantages, both in terms of time and potential even cost. So uh, industries are only, if some industries are only doing it, like BFSI or manufacturing, some of these industries are probably leading it at the moment. But we are seeing every day, we are seeing more interest coming in from a wider variety of industries like hospitality, food processing, logistics, and believe it or not, even construction. Right. So, as each of these industries realize that the older method of deploying technology is basically becoming outdated. They know that this is the future. So that knowledge is permeating the market across industries, and it is happening very, very quickly. So I see that throughout this decade, we strongly believe at Quixi that about the number that was discussed earlier was about 65% will be built on no-code platforms. Then it was moved to 70%. So we believe that about anywhere between 85 to 90% of digital solutions will be built the no-code way. Maybe it's not possible today, but definitely that's the direction it's moving. And also the no-code platforms are maturing so quickly that we are in fact taking the example of Quixi as well, where we've already brought in a lot of AI capabilities into the platform. This where users can not only use AI technology but also configure it to meet their needs again the no code way. So which means that now users can deploy the latest of the technologies at breakneck speed. What would have taken 6 months, 9 months, right now they're able to do it in a month or even less than a month. So that brings in a whole lot of new dimension, something this is uncharted waters where the level of automation that is estimated in industries in organizations across the world is at 20%. Believe it or not, right? In spite of such technology advancement throughout the years, the level of automation is at about 20%. Ideally, you would have wanted a mature organization to sit somewhere at 70-80% of automation. So there is this huge space of vacuum that is waiting to be filled, and it is the hurdles for that is the scarcity of skills to meet the demand, and the amount of time and cost. These are the resources that that have formed the hurdles for organizations to take and fill the gap. Now with no-code and low-code technologies, so we are seeing this whether it is in public sector, as Yogesh pointed out. Uh, you would assume that they would be the last to move, but they are beginning to move very quickly, understand the potential of it, and the kind of scale that they have, along with large enterprises taking up no-code platforms in a maybe start with experimentation, layer it on top of their existing systems. But as they build out, they're also building in, which is replacing their core systems also, or at least parts of their core systems with no-code low-code systems. And this trend, it is, like I said, it is, these 2 years is just an indicator, and we are seeing a very, very bright future for no-code low-code platforms for this decade.
Sure. So we definitely have very bright future for low code, no code. So in terms of BFSI now, Yogesh, probably I would like you to ask you, how do you foresee the uptake? So in terms of BFSI as a broad sector, are there certain segmentation you mentioned, that people for personalization today are using low code, no code? Do you think it will go beyond that? What is the kind of outlook you foresee for low code, no code going forward?
Yes, the use cases I spoke about was majorly around customer engagement and onboarding. That's currently pervasive, and that's the maximum usage today. But
Sure.
workflows, I also spoke about credit decisioning and lending side LOS cases, but the use of low code there is comparatively limited. There is a depth that and the breadth we can cover into the LOS or the lending area. The other use cases are around the BFSI not using it much for the employee engagement services or the in-house services, in-house apps, and sometimes core lending systems as well, which are the LMSs. So this is another area, any other workflow related area. All these are where the whole low code can grow further. Now, the second aspect around it is what helps in low code get governance stream within the BFSI. It's majorly driven by integration. So, for example, Vahana comes with 400 different integrations, which are, let's say, GST or PAN or check matching APIs, so on and so forth. So there is a complete ecosystem that's working. If I translate to the questions you asked to Gautam and Sachin as well, the which industries will be fastest to grow with low code is where the number of such integrations readily available for even expanding the or fast tracking the development would be the ones where the adoption will be faster. While there may be natural tendency, but the ecosystem together has a play in terms of which industry will adopt it faster. In some sense, BFSI has that advantage that there is huge work on APIs on the payment side. There is huge work on APIs now today on the lending side as well. So more and more industries come up with such ecosystem, and those would be in the advantageous position to grow.
Sure. So I think now, just to conclude, I think we have a couple of minutes left for the session. So I just quickly, I want, Sachin, Gautam, Yogesh, all of you to just summit some key, key takeaway for the session that you have for the audience. So maybe I start with Yogesh this time with you, so that we go the other way around. Yeah.
So I think it's a platform or low code is a emerging sector, and all the providers and so there are three major parties. There's a developers, there are providers, and there are adopters. I think there's a lot of synchronization that needs to happen between all of three to support each other, and the advantages are going to come for each one of them.
Perfect. Gautam, your thoughts just to close the session, concluding remarks.
So this is a technology like artificial intelligence. It is something that I would recommend most of the companies to invest and then explore, experiment, start small and then start adopting, and then slowly build it into your long-term digital strategy. Do not jump in and make a huge attempt at the first go. Instead, experiment, start small, then start seeing value, and then keep expanding on it.
Sure. Thanks, Gautam. Sachin. You're on mute.
sorry. Okay. So I think as a, as a technologist and having that business acumen all the time, coming from a business background, I see, there had always been extreme side of technology and extreme side of business, which had always been there, and that's where you have different functions. What low code brings in is the marriage of that, where you are focused equally on the business value and the technology that is used to implement that, and realizing those results at a very faster pace. So it's kind of a win-win situation where, of course, IT and business has come hand in hand moving forward for any organization. But this is also the situation where it comes and seamlessly becomes a part of the organization where both go together and realize a core business goal. And that's why where low code is going to help. And yeah.
Thanks, Sachin. So I think we summed it very well. We all need to come together, experiment, and see where we can solve with low code, no code. And I think Gautam very well put that it's like AI. So I think that is the key takeaway. People need to really come experiment and use low code, no code to really feel the benefits and effectiveness it brings to the table. So thank you, everyone. With that, we come to end of today's session. I would again like to thank Sachin, Yogesh, and Gautam for joining in. Thanks, Gaurav, for those report insights. And stay tuned for more insightful discussion on with more topics on NASSCOM insights. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Till then, it's a goodbye from everyone here at NASSCOM Insights. Thank you.